You're listening to the Zero to Somewhere podcast with Nick Palmisano and Albert Zoe.
Welcome back to Zero to Somewhere podcast, starring Nick Palmisano and some guy.
The Zero to Somewhere podcast with Nick Palmisano and Albert Zoe.
Yeah.
Super excited to have our friend Griff from Combat Flip Flops today. He has an actual name, which is Matthew Griffin, but he prefers to simply go by Griff.
Wait, what about strangers that wear Crocs? Can they call him Griff?
They cannot. He has a lack of love for people that wear Crocs. It's something that's always bothered him.
Mario Batali is a scumbag.
Because of the Crocs or just in general?
Yeah, I think it's because he gropes women, but...
All right. So before we bring Griff on, before we bring Griff on, we have to do our weekly update.
Got to do our update.
How are we as a startup doing?
Well, I don't know. I went on vacation for 1 week, and you lose a client. That's fucked up.
That's true. So we lost our first earned loss of a client. As we've said before, we've lost a couple others, but they were like super weird reasons. But this is also kind of weird.
It's just the happiest loss I've ever seen.
Literally,
it's a very, very odd thing. But let's walk everyone through this. So one of the hardest parts about a recurring revenue business is actually just keeping customers, right? And since we don't do long-term contracts, our customers after their first flight can leave us.
They can dump us anytime.
They got to give us 90 days.
But after that, we're not engaged. We're not married. Like we're just kind of like we met on Tinder, and
we gotta earn our
as soon as we're not interesting to you anymore, you can break up with us.
Yeah.
So, but the weird thing is, so let us know, hey, I can't work with you right now. We've got to cut some overhead. But in the same week that he said this, he referred 2 clients to us.
Well, let me back up all the details.
Okay,
First of
back
all,
up all the details.
On the closing month. The clients last month, their total goal hits, measured conversions, was higher than the previous month. So we were on an upward trajectory.
Yeah, we were winning. In our world, we were winning.
Yeah, we tell all of our employees.
But we still lost.
We did lose. We tell all of our employees that how do you know, they ask, how do you know you're doing a good job?
Yep.
Well, the client should be incentivized to hire you.
Yeah.
Meaning, you're doing such a good job, the client wants to hire you. And actually... threw out some feelers to some of our team and said, would you be interested in joining me?
Yeah, it was like, hey, we can't work with you right now because of overhead. Referred 2 other companies to us.
Referred 2 other companies to us.
One of which has already signed with us.
Yep, we're excited to bring that.
And tried to hire away some of our employees. So, I'm getting a lot of mixed signals. Like maybe this client had daddy issues. You know what I mean? Like things were too good and they just freaked out and just, had to dump us before it became permanent. You know what I mean?
But you're going to lose clients. So let's walk back.
Yeah.
And if we think back to where does that put us? Now, it's certainly a step back because it stinks. Now, luckily that we did such a good job that revenue was replaced by the next client.
Yep.
So I still think that proves that our core philosophy of doing the absolute best we can is still critical, because it allows you to absorb things like this. Because if we were really shitty, that'd be awful, because then we'd lose the money and have nothing to replace it.
Yeah, I think we'll probably work with this client again. I think it's less the throw all of our stuff out the second floor window and burn all the letters that we wrote, and more the they're gonna miss us every once in a while. They're gonna look at that picture of Diesel Jack and be like,
hey, our ads are still in rotation.
Those were some good times, and maybe we'll hook up again. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. With that, company's doing well. We've got some really cool video projects coming up.
Yep.
New client, very exciting.
Shot a commercial last week.
Yep.
For Battle Bars.
We're
excited to bring that to you. We're going to introduce the 5 different types of protein bar you meet at the gym.
Yeah, and
personifying the protein bar. We're excited to bring that.
And just full disclosure on the Battle Bars one, one of the jokes in that is that a particular bar melts too much, and I had like a gallon of Hershey's chocolate syrup to use in this. And like the dude that was the actor for it just seemed willing to do anything. So I just kept taking it farther and farther, and eventually was just pouring Hershey syrup on the ground. I was like,
Lick this up.
bro, we need you to lick this off the floor. And he was, and then I was like, scream out that you need your mom, and he did, and like I just got weird. We don't even really need any of that footage, but
it'll make good.
It's gonna be great, outtakes. All right, with that. I want to introduce you guys to Griff from Combat Flip Flops. Griff is a Ranger veteran. He is a straight shooter. He likes to do things that are uncomfortable, like climb mountains and go on long hikes that are nearly impossible for no good reason. He currently has a girlfriend that also enjoys those things and just got back from a ridiculous hike. He has a very interesting business model. Basically, it's a badass flip-flop, the most rugged flip-flop I've ever worn. But also, the proceeds from these flip-flops also go to helping women in impoverished areas get an education. They've been a huge help to women in Afghanistan. Just a really powerful mission. And so, here we go.
Griff, welcome to the show. Well, first of all, am I allowed to call you Griff? Because obviously I don't know you that well, like Nick does. I guess you guys went to school together.
We have to use the word Griff because the symbol that I'm developing, like Prince, he just moved to a symbol. We haven't been able to figure out how to articulate that in the English language. So yeah, call me Griff for now.
I feel like it should be like a griffin claw and like a little beard, like a little, but the beard's under the beard's under the claw for some reason.
Why? But like, who would be able to put that together? Do you see the full Griffin or just the claw?
You just see the Griffin claw.
What's a Griffin claw look like?
It's got like a little bit of lion, like the forearm is a little lionish.
That's complicated. Griff, man, welcome to the show.
We just got off a call. I'll try to make my last thing. I was making a joke about wanting to fire them, but I can't because Albert's mullet is just too sexy. And I don't care how bad my ads perform, as long as I get to see that at least once a week. Like, I'm gonna keep Diesel Jack as a client. Yeah, that's where we're at now. It's just combat flip flops, cool shit, dangerous places. Can I curse on this show?
Yeah. You can definitely curse, but no, we want tell everybody. Assume that people have no idea who you are. What you do. Like, tell us about yourself. Who the hell are you, and why are you selling flip-flops for a living?
Long story. I grew up only child, divorced parents, went to the United States Military Academy because neither one of my parents could afford college. Yeah. Yes, beat Navy. Ended up wanted to fly, ended up breaking my shoulder in college, which ended those dreams. So I became an artillery officer, king of battle. Much better than the queen of battle, the infantry.
False.
You see, I'm giving a long stare at Nick. And then, I'd served a whole bunch of time downrange, and I fought early on in the war, and it was a very much different war. So we actually got to live in villages and see what was going on in these areas, and really feel a deep sense of empathy and sadness for the conditions in which most people live in the world. And over time, what I began to see was that the way that U.S. foreign policy was going wasn't really the right way of doing it, like going guns blazing and then fail miserably at nation building afterwards. It's a recipe for failure, and every history book over the past 50 to 60 years says the same thing. And so I got out. I started doing medical clinic development in developing nations. And what I saw was that small businesses were the real leaders and the real people making changes in their area. So very similar to you guys making change for business here. Creating employees, creating stability, all of those things that you guys are doing is like, well, why can't America do this through our consumerism for these developing nations? And so we started a company called Combat Flip Flops. We started in a combat boot factory. Say again?
I was going to ask, was there a particular reason you chose flip flops? Was it because it was easy to make? Did you like flip flops? Like, how did you choose your SKU?
Yeah, because when you're wearing flip flops, you're not shod for the throwdown. Right? It puts everybody in a better mood when you can slide on some flip-flops. So it seemed to work. There's a little bit longer of a story where I walked into a combat boot factory in Afghanistan and was really inspired by the volume of people working. And I found out the factory was going to close down after their contracts ended. And I looked down on a table in my moment of fury upon this realization. And I saw this combat boot outsole with a flip-flop thong punch through it. And my first thought was like, ugly, cool, military, like Americans would buy this shit. Then the words combat and flip-flops bounced around in my head. And a flip-flop was a political term, which is somebody takes a 180-degree stance change on a subject while arguing that both are still needed.
Yep.
Is this what John Kerry was accused of, right?
Yeah.
John Kerry. He's a flip-flopper. He's a flip-flopper.
A flip-flopper, right? So like it's a common term, and a lot of people like miss the joke when they see our name. You can't fight in flip-flops. Like, fuck yeah, we know you can't fight in flip-flops. That's the point, right? And then we put the little little GIF with like Sylvester Stallone looking stupid with the joke going over his head. That's all I can reply with when anybody like puts that in our comments. And then so you
could always reply.
We figured out that.
I was gonna say you could always reply that a croc is not a real croc. It's a shoe.
Yeah, a croc.
Like,
Croc is not actually a croc.
Well, I don't understand why people are taking this so literally. Like the company Crocs, right? Like, people don't go like, "Oh, that's not a real crocodile."
It's not made from crocodile. If it was, the company would be cooler.
So now we're gonna have an ad, right? That's gonna come out, and Nick, you're gonna have to source me some fucking real crocodiles, real ones.
All right. You need a crocodile? I'll get you a crocodile. I'll get you a crocodile by noon if you want.
Take a record. Timestamp it. Crocodile in the next ad. No Photoshop. Live.
So how does a person even start a flip-flop company? Let's just get right to it because, sourcing shit is hard. I don't know if you knew this, Griff. It's actually challenging.
All right, so there's three of us in the business. The guy that I called half in the bag from a 6-pack of Heineken, like moments after I found out that I wanted to make combat flip-flops. So I called my business partner, Lee. He was my FO in the Rangers. He'd had some e-com experience, and he just the guy that we kept in touch with. He was the lowest private on the team and like the private officer. Like normally don't get along, but we actually became best friends over the course of our deployments. And we just stayed in touch after he left. So I called him. He actually knew how to register a domain, and nobody had ever put combat flip-flops together. So for $3.99, we got combatflipflops.com on GoDaddy, which was awesome. Then we sat on that idea for a couple of years because life's life. And then my brother, Andy, my sister-in-law actually married a dude. His nickname's the Wookiee. He's 6'7". He's tall. Played bass in a rock band from Montana. The song Rock Songs about Montana. He's a really good dude, but
also a very specific rock band. Can we just point that out? That's a very niche category. All right.
Yeah. And then, but he worked 20 years in commercial, like painting and residential painting and commercial painting. So he understands processes and materials. So I started talking about this very anti-war idea. And then he got into it. He's like, all right, I'm going to do this. And he didn't know how to do anything on a computer, taught himself SketchUp in 48 hours, developed a rendering over like a pencil drawing sketch that I'd given him of our AK-47, which is to this day our #1 product by sales and by volume over 10 years. And he like figured out how to do this on a computer, and he's like, hey, is this what you were looking for? And I was like, dude, that's exactly what I'd imagined in my head. So then we had our production guys. So now we have minimal e-commerce experience, no entrepreneurial experience, no footwear manufacturing experience. And we want to start a flip-flop company. And what do you do?
And where'd you go to? Like, so you got the prototype. Where did you go first to get one made? Because from my experience getting, I tried my hand at dog toys, but getting stuff made internationally, especially, is like, it was very difficult at the time. Like you're dealing with people that don't speak your language. Yep. You don't trust your money at all. It's like, they're like, oh yeah, I need a $5,000 deposit. You're like, why? Like, why so much?
Bro,
that's what it was like for me.
I don't even know you.
That's what it was like for me. I didn't know. What did you experience when it's like, okay, you got design, you got spec. How do you get this made now?
Yeah, this has nothing to do with flip-flops, but the jiu-jitsu gym that I go to ordered like $21,000 in mats from China, and they arrived with carpet on them. You obviously don't want
you can't roll on carpet
your jiu-jitsu mats.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, these have carpet on them. And the guy was like, man, you ordered carpet. And that was it. So he did not order carpet, but they had to cover him with something else. Anyway,
when it comes to international manufacturing, most people
you don't know what's going to happen.
They have no idea what's going to happen, especially if it's your first time. Talk about how did that go about for you?
So when Lee got out of the Army, one of his first jobs is he was doing websites for this off-brand shoe company out of LA, which they would, there's a lot of knockoff shoe companies. So they take a regular design, then they find a very similar design, and then they just change up the colors, and then they make a shoe that's $30 less and put it in a store, which everybody can go get a knockoff shoe that looks just like the really expensive one. So he just contacted a couple of the owners and said, hey, you guys know how to make shoes. Can we fly down and talk to you? I just bought a couple tickets to LA. We flew down there. We had our spec packet, which we kind of thought was right and wanted them to make. And they said, yeah, we can make that for you. It'll be $2,500. And I was like, really? That's it? So with a deep sense of pride, which I am so thankful that I can say this, but I sold guns and a motorcycle to fund that initial production run. So our company is funded by guns. Because at the time I just didn't have spare cash. I was a dad, 2 kids, like house, family. Like you don't have money to start these big ideas.
Yeah.
So you just take what you got and you sell what you got to get what you want. And 3 months later, I had a little DHL box hit my back door, and I opened it up, and there was 9 pairs of flip-flops in there because we went with 3 styles to start with 3 different manufacturers and style. And so like we pulled each one of them out, and we're like, oh, these are all cool. So we picked individual aspects of the models that we like, photographed them all with our cell phones, put like little arrows on a PowerPoint slide like officers do. Say, I like this one on this one, that one on that. With like overall quality, we like this manufacturer, make us another one. And then so they went and they made the final designs, and they, okay, cool. So then they made all the tooling. So when you see a shoe, every leather piece that's like cut out on the shoe, every mold, there's a piece of metal cut out of something somewhere to stamp that part out or cut it or pour the mold. They don't have the ability to make those tools in Afghanistan. So essentially what we were doing was and they don't even have the ability to make leather. So what the deal that we brokered was, hey guys, you make the material parts, you make all the tooling. Afghanistan doesn't have the ability to make tooling. They don't have the ability to make leather. So the deal that we brokered with this material supplier in China was to make all the individual components, cut all the tooling for us, put all that stuff in a box. We ship it to Afghanistan, then they assemble everything in this factory, and then we ship it out, right? That was our overall logistical chain. And amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics. This was a very complicated logistical supply chain with a new supplier, which is, looking back on it now, prime for failure.
That's what I want to ask you, because that does not seem efficient.
That
now I know
a bit dangerous, Griff.
Now you have, I understand you have a mission that you want to fulfill, which is you want to provide work for these communities, right? But at the same time, they actually were not capable of completing the work. So you subcontracted part of the work to another company, had them ship the products, it sounds like, to Afghanistan for, I guess, final assembly. Is that right?
It is, yeah. So let's inject a little bit of the war in this as well. So this is all happening.
Oh, that's right.
And let's do it during the war.
So this is happening. So this was 2011. We were doing all of this. So there was a cross-border shooting between U.S. forces and Pakistani forces in which the U.S. guys smoked a whole bunch of Pakistani dudes. So the Pakistan government shut down the border, which is typically the supply chain in. You ship to Karachi, put it on a truck from Karachi into Kabul, assemble, ship back out through Karachi on a boat, and get out. So
that's when you went in there with some camels, and went through the mountains. I know camels aren't good for mountains. I just wanted to envision you with camels, and
we were right there. We were just about to do it. So there were 2 routes. One was a dangerous truck ride from China in through a couple of the stands down into northern Afghanistan. And if you look at a map and understand topography,
what's a few stands among friends, you know?
Yeah, what is a few stands among friends? Or we pay a $10,000 air bill and get the shit there. So it was the 10.
Your production costs are going up.
So that's like, we didn't even understand what was going on in the war, because what happened at the same time concurrently, we built a janky website over about 24 hours. I went to SHOT Show with a whole bunch of these samples. I outfitted them to all the bloggers, and we sold like 4,000 pair.
Nice.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, so that's the signal that you have a hit. But prior to that, it sounds like, I mean, this is so. There's a moment I feel like in every entrepreneur's journey when you're going zero to somewhere where it's like, fuck, man, my debt is just collecting, and I don't have $1 of revenue.
Now,
I mean, you had to have been. Were you feeling that, or let me ask you? Let's rephrase it. Were you feeling that? Because now you have the shoes. You've gone to extra lengths to manufacture in Afghanistan. You have extra costs. You're incurring extra costs because you know that that's what you want to do. And were you freaking out? Were you like, ugh?
Nope. Cool as a cucumber. At this point in time, I had no idea how much trouble I was in.
All right. So you sell these 4,000 pairs.
And we'd never made a pair in production at all. Like, we were dead honest, clear, like, hey guys, this is a concept. This is what we want to do. We'll ship your footwear to you in 3 months.
Oh, so these are pre-sales. These aren't like, you don't have it. Oh shit. Oh no. Oh God.
Okay, so that's why the costs aren't fully loaded yet. He's got revenue now, but not fully loaded costs.
Got revenue.
Zero idea how much trouble I was in at this moment, right?
So 43 months later, they arrive.
So it's like Kickstarter, except no one's patient. Because on Kickstarter, people are like, you're gonna take a long time. But yeah, fill us in. Like, what happens? You got SHOT Show sales.
Fast forward a bit.
So we're sitting at the Circle Bar in the Venetian or the Palazzo in Vegas. We're watching all these sales come through. We think we are like off to the races with the most successful thing since the fidget spinner, right? We are into it. And luckily our manufacturer was there from Afghanistan. He just happened to come in because he was in the defense industry. And he's like, look, guys, I just lost my boot contract with the military. I know that you just got these 4,000 pair. I can do this one run and then we're done. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, if we just pull this off once, and I get out from underneath it with zero debt. It was a super fun project and we're good to go. That was January 2012. We were supposed to take delivery in June, which then turned into July, which then turned into August. And then my brother, Andy, and I got to a point to where we went down to the local surplus store, bought every duffel bag we could find and flew to Kabul.
So we're now 2 months late. Wait, no, you order
3 months late on delivery right now.
To be fair, that's a phenomenal story. Grab your duffel bags, kids. We're going to Kabul.
Oh, are we going to get money? Oh, sandals.
Because I got to tell you, I would have totally been like, hey, let's just give this money back.
Hey, yeah, did you have the money in hand yet? Or no, these were just orders but not cash?
No, literally, like, as soon as we got the cash, we chunked down the money for the air bill. We chunked down the money for the materials. We brokered rates with everybody else. And like, we had no idea how much trouble we were in.
There's no way to give a refund.
Oh, God.
Oh shit. So now it's like reading Bringing Down the House when they have duffel bags of money, but except he doesn't have duffel bags.
Yeah,
of money.
he just has duffel bags.
So
it gets better. So we show up, right, and like our stuff is done.
Yep.
And our first packaging, we thought it was cool. The only thing anybody ever thinks comes out of Afghanistan is opium. So our first packaging for our flip flop was opium bags with big opium poppies on the outside.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh no.
So we show up at this warehouse to get our stuff. They're like literally sitting on tables. Like it's one of those quintessential moments. Like, slide the door to the left. There's that beam of light coming through the warehouse and the tall windows. There's dust.
Yeah.
There was a dog eating a rat in the corner, right? But there's all of our flip flops.
Well, better than a rat eating a dog in the corner.
Yeah. And then we contract a bongo truck because it's obviously too big to fit in our Toyota to get back to the compound that we were staying in. My brother Andy and I, we hop on the back of these things and we're sitting in the back of this bongo truck riding down Jalalabad Road on top of what looks to be like 2 tons of opium.
Because you used opium bags.
Oh my God.
And you know how like guys, when they do projects, whether it's a hot rod project or you painted your house or whatever thing you did, you just kind of sit and you stare at it in admiration afterwards. I did a good job with that. How could I have done that better?
This is a lot of work for flip flops, man. I got to just tell you.
Okay, what's the next twist? Because in this part of the story, the flops are still in Afghanistan. They have not been brought over.
We're still in Afghanistan. We're riding down a dangerous road
with
opium what
stacks.
Seems to be opium.
Stacks of opium.
All right, continue.
Oh, it gets much worse. So we've been off on like our time change and everything else about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I like photography and videography. So I've been doing a video vlog of this whole process we've been on, just so we can share with customers like how far we went to fulfill on our promise to them. So I get up at like 3 in the morning and I'm just going down. I'm sitting in this room just full of stacks of like flip-flops. And my brother, like 15 minutes later, comes down and he wants to sit down and stare at them too. So now it's like 3:30 in the morning. We got nothing to do. So we start cutting open the bags and organizing everything for inventory. And come to find out within the first couple of bags, like the materials were shit.
Oh, God, it's
meaning
so good.
that wasn't the material you ordered, or because you ordered in another place and had it shipped to Afghanistan.
It was thousands of pairs of beautifully assembled flip-flops.
Unbelievable.
Out of like bad materials. We had like little chrome poppies in our tuk-tuks.
Yeah.
Like little hood ornaments on the thong, or like a chrome poppy, and it's already bubbling. Like the wave that we had in our Poseidon, so they were already peeling off because of the material. You could tell like the leather was already bleeding.
Oh my
it was
God.
so bad.
I mean, but also totally expected if you've been in the business for any amount of time. But I mean, I just can't, I can imagine you being there, being so happy with yourself and then seeing that you basically bought a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, we smoked each of us we burned through a pack of Marlboro Lights in about 20 minutes. We cried a little bit. And the worst part is like telling your wife, right? Because your wives are staring at you guys like, you guys are fucking idiots. You guys are making flip-flops in Afghanistan.
Babe,
and all you're going to hear is, I told you so.
Babe, I know I took our extra money and sold off a bunch of our stuff in order to start a flip-flop business and then left you and went to Afghanistan.
Safe place, by the way.
And went directly to a factory and rode down a dangerous road with a bunch of opium labeled shoes.
And then they're not good.
And also they're terrible. But
and my customers.
But I still love you.
So you mentioned you cried. So you had already recognized like this might be
oh my God.
over before it begins.
So I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with
well,
you.
you can look back on it. You can always look back on it now, yeah. But at that moment you're saying like you and Andy shedding a tear a little bit, crying a little bit, smoking a little bit, because you guys are probably coming to the realization that
all right, so what do
you have no money.
Yeah.
You now have a bunch of flip-flops that are less than what you pitched, right?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned you went to SHOT Show, you had floor models. People knew what they were going to get, or what they thought they were going to get.
Yeah, it's like the wish.com meme.
Yeah.
You know, like...
ordered this, got this. Yeah. So you're like, he's actually the first wish.com.
Yeah.
I don't know if like you guys remember when you were a kid and like you were messing around and with a slingshot in the house or something, and then all of a sudden you like broke a window.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get that tense feeling in your chest that kind of feels like tickles, and it goes all the way down to your guts and it makes you want to poop. Right. It was that by a factor of 10. And we're just sitting there. How are we going to explain to thousands of people that this is what happened?
Yeah. So what did you do?
We explained to thousands of people this is what happened. And luckily we videoed and photoed everything along the whole way. And Lee was in LA and he started chain smoking as well because he was stressed out about it. And I was like, look, man, the only thing we can do is be honest. Like, this is a great adventure.
Yeah.
Like, we screwed up our first run. We'll make it right. And so we emailed like all of our customers. We sent them photos of everything. And we said, hey guys, like, thanks for believing in us. We're in Afghanistan right now. We just figured this out a couple hours ago.
I'm sorry.
Here's all the photos. We can't send this to you.
Oh God.
Trust us. We'll make this right. And the stuff wasn't even worth shipping home. So we grabbed a few pair, filled a duffel bag or two just so we could remind ourselves not to be stupid. We have them placed around the headquarters here and there.
Hey, can I get one of those?
No.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Yeah. I like you, but not that much.
So, I mean,
So, like being there and doing what we were doing, this is still the time in which, the United States Department of Defense and the Department of State were actively trying to nation build and build businesses. So the Department of Commerce was actually pretty cool. There's a guy named Walt Koenig who worked there, who's a really good dude. So I called him up. I'm like, hey man, like this factory's closing. We got a shit run. Is there anybody else in town that that we can hire to make our footwear? Because we ran the quick math. We knew we had money left in the bank account. I called all of my banks and asked them if they would extend all my credit limits and all my credit cards. And when I did the quick math, almost down to the penny, we had enough to run another production run and get them all the way to the US. And if I did that with all of our profit, I would be straddled with like 40 to 50 grand in debt for a bad idea. And
This is very familiar to me.
it would be over. Right. That's it. Like it's in the grand scheme of things, like I could go get a job somewhere else, like eat rice and beans for the next few years, pay this off on a really high interest. Okay. Like
I have been in this position.
I love his, like, this is like, for those people that want to start a business, you have to be ready to do exactly what Griff said, which is be 50 grand in the hole.
But most people won't do it. That's like a huge lesson, not to stop and be like, most people would have just been like, oh, sorry, let me just ship this piece of crap and then called it a day. That would have
been the end of their business.
But he was, at this point, they're thinking about ending their business anyway.
That's true.
So he's still willing to go 50K in the hole to make it right. Such an important thing. Continue, sir.
So he got on the horn, he called, we found one other factory, we visited them, and we actually had some materials to make prototypes. So we sat in the factory and we watched them make our stuff. It was really cool. Like I even sewed up a pair, they look like crap, but we got to see how complicated it was, how talented craftsmen are.
How long were you there observing this?
All day.
You stayed until they were done? Like they made the whole run?
No. Like we had enough for like 50 pairs of samples. So we had enough like leftover materials. So we're like, hey, we want to test your quality. We want to make sure that you guys can get these because we learned our lesson the first time about 2 days before.
Yep.
Let's make sure that you guys can meet our standards before I leave country and ask you to do this for me again with all of my money. And we sat there and we watched them make them. It was really cool. It was a great experience. We talked shit with the guys back and forth in 2 different languages through a translator. And had a good time, had some good food. But at the end of it, the factory manager said, look, you guys got to guarantee me 20,000 pair or it's not even worth it for me to open up. And at that point in time, we were struggling to make 4,000 pairs. So I just couldn't do it. So it was very disappointing.
So where do you go from there?
So we actually buggered off and went on an adventure, right? Which is leaning into your first intro to me is like, sometimes you just got to push away from the computer, shut down the cell phone and go get some perspective on life.
Totally. That's when you go to Netflix or Prime or Hulu,
I prefer to put myself in the pain cave physically or go somewhere where I can like see how stupid my problems are. And this is one of the ones where I went to go see how stupid my problems were. So Ahmad Shah Massoud is the national hero of Afghanistan. He was killed by bin Laden on September 9th, 2001. Google him, known as the Lion of Panjshir, aptly named. His family found out what we were doing. They liked it, so they invited us up to go to his martyr day, and we just happened to be there, during that window when they were having a big celebration of the Panjshir Valley. I'm a student of war. If you want to study asymmetrical war, the Panjshir Valley is a casebook study of how you fight a large, overwhelming force and succeed. So I've always wanted to see this firsthand. And we got invited up into this valley. So like, dude, we're going to be here. Our plane tickets are like leaving in another 5-6 days. Let's just go. So we went and we drove up into this valley. And then as we're driving up this valley, it's unbelievably gorgeous. Pictures don't do it justice.
A question before you continue. Are you guys armed or are you guys just, it'll all magically work out at this point?
No, when you understand tribes and who you got to have be your driver and who can get you through certain terrain, you're good, right? Like, that's it, you're good. Versus our other drivers that we had for the week, and they drove us up into the valley and you're at the invitation of the valley. So when you get an invitation by an Afghan, you're protected. Start to finish, you're good. And so as you're driving up this beautiful valley, you see formations, literally Russian battle formations rusting.
Wow.
T-55s, T-62s, BMP-1s, BMP-2s, Mi-8s, Mi-17s, all wrecked throughout this valley in perfect battle formation. And it, like, I was just sitting there staring, just taking this all in. But as we go up the valley, they've got these 2x2 signs with photos on them on the sides of the road as you get going. And they're increasing in intensity as you get closer to the Masood shrine. And I asked the driver, and I asked, hey, what are those? And he's like, those are our martyrs. Those are the people who lost their lives in the fight for this valley. Here I was being a sad emoji, like white guy having white people problems.
My flip-flops totally suck, bro.
Yeah, and here these people are losing their lives to defend a piece of terrain that essentially the world really didn't care about.
Yep.
It really put a massive scale and perspective on things. And then we got up to the Masood shrine, and we got to participate in the ceremony. But there was these sequences of photos of Masood that was taken over a morning. It was him sleeping, right? And this is the 4 lessons I have if you're going to get into this venture of entrepreneurship or try to take over the world or try to save your people. You have to do these 4 things in sequence, right? First of all, it was him, and it was over 20 minutes because you could tell because how the shadows were changing on the photos and the guys moving around in the background. But get your rest. Like, you need to sleep. If you're not sleeping, you're not making good decisions because you're operating at a detriment. The next one was immediately after getting up, he prayed. Express gratitude that you got another shot at it every day. Next photo was him stretching out and like working out. You have to work your body. Captain Brandon Tegmeyer then turned into Colonel Tegmeyer of the Ranger Regiment. He said it, a person's ability to lead over time is directly correlated to their physical fitness. If you want to be a good leader, if you want to make the duration and the entrepreneurial thing, you have to keep your body in shape too, right? And then the last one was him just pouring over a map with his radio in his hand. It's like, work your plan. Get your rest, give thanks, work your body, work your plan. And then you just have to repeat until successful. And it took him nearly a decade to defeat the Russians, right? If that guy did it by selling illegal jewels like crack, semi-precious and precious stones out of his landmines that people were digging out with shovels, buying guns and defeating the Russians without the support of the Americans, I can figure out a way to make more flip-flops.
All right. So you have your profound moment of Zen. Fast forward
2 days.
Fast forward 2 days?
Fast forward 2 days.
Okay. All right. All right. 2 days then.
Flip the cell phone back on. Walt Koenig immediately calls me. He's like, look, man, I got another factory that wants to work for you. They had a fire in their factory last year. They just put millions of dollars of equipment in it. They just got a 180,000 pair boot order. They want to work with you. Let's do it. So we had the scariest ride of my life out of the Panjshir Valley through Kabul at speed to make this appointment. We get there. He was not lying. It was a beautiful factory. They wanted to work with us from the factory floor. I called a new material supplier in Asia who I could trust because our footwear guys like really helped us out. The guys from California, they're like, hey, this guy will not screw you. Purchased all the material on my credit cards. Did the handshake deal.
Just shake it. I mean,
let's shake. This is a dramatic reenactment.
But if for those people listening that have that entrepreneurial spirit, like they want to do these things, people always fail to realize, like, even if you had a contract, it's an international agreement. What is your ability to enforce that?
You can't.
Like, you live in the United States, man. Like, you ain't do shit. Like, you got to
nothing.
go over there. So it might as well be a handshake. I mean, like, because a piece of paper is, it's not enforceable either.
It's meaningless.
And
I just want to take this moment. I usually do this at least once during the podcast, just to take the moment and say, like, whenever I'm on Twitter and I see some dude complaining about like his job and how like his boss who founded his own company sucks and doesn't appreciate his work. I always think about like stories like this. This might be my new favorite though.
Yeah. You think about like the problems a business leader has solved to get their way. Like, and then you're complaining like, hey man, like I normally do 10 things. You added a new thing.
It's like, my boss wanted me to work an extra 45 minutes. Well, there I was walking through the hills of Afghanistan, racing from one factory to another.
Yeah.
Doing handshake deals with,
various credit card debt on top of the cash that you've already lost on a bad order.
Hoping to not get killed, hoping that they actually deliver. Holy shit, man, this is great.
So we fly home, and this factory was amazing. Like we cell phone texting back and forth, DHLing, all materials and supplies. They're doing pre-production samples. They're sending us photos and videos of everything, and we were like, game the fuck on. And we were sending all of this information to our customers. Our customers were stoked. And meanwhile, they're like, they're eating popcorn watching, because you pay $60 to be, go to a show. And this is a show that lasts for like 7 months. It was like right around Thanksgiving, and they stopped answering their cell phones.
Oh no.
They stopped answering their Skype messages.
Oh no.
And then I get a call from the factory in Asia that had our materials down. They're like, hey, the stuff's done. It's in the container. Get it off my dock.
Oh my God.
So I knew the general manager for this company, just through our conversations over time. I knew that he had a Skype meeting at a certain time frame, right, with all of this like global corporate leadership. So I stayed up till 2 a.m. and I just started blasting his Skype in the middle of this meeting, so that way he couldn't ignore me. And he's like, hey man, sorry we didn't get back to you. Some big changes. We lost our boot contract. You need to guarantee me 80,000 pairs. Otherwise I can't do this production run.
Wow.
So it went from 4,000 to 20,000 to 80,000.
And you've already now spent the money on 24,000 pairs. Enough raw material to cover 24,000 pairs is what you're in the hole for now. And this guy says, hey, by the way, you need to quadruple your order just so I can fulfill it.
No.
All right,
I was in it for 8,000.
Emotional.
They wanted 80,000.
So I want to take a minute and pause this ridiculous story. Tell everybody emotionally where you're at right now. Like
this is 11 months from the highs of selling at SHOT Show.
You were a big dick player that just sold 4,000 pairs. Now you are sitting here, head in hands, trying to figure out how to what? Where are you at, man?
Well, he's got a lot of raw material in Asia.
I was sitting at my dining room table in my house, and my kids and my wife were in our living room, like just doing whatever they're doing before they're going to bed, and I'm gonna have to walk in and tell my wife that it's gonna be another thin Christmas. Like what do you do, man? Like, hey, everything we have is into this. I'll work an extra job. I'll do whatever. But like my kids are not gonna have a fucking good Christmas because of this, like at all. Like it just got worse by the moment. Again, started chain smoking, and we're on a conference call, and Andy's parked because he's still working his paint job. I was still working another job as a VP of operations for this laundry company doing military gear and equipment. Lee was still working his online job. So this is all still kind of like a side hustle for all of this at the same time.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of time and money invested into this.
Yeah.
And Andy was sitting in his car, and he's like, I saw those things made. It wasn't very hard. I'll fucking make them. Like, what?
That's a G. That's a G statement right
there. No way.
8,000 pairs by hand? Was that the...
It's 4,000.
Okay, that was his thought process in his mind, though, at that moment.
8,000 individual flip-flops. And so we saw the process, and like, where are we going to make them? And the only spot we had to, so I called every American footwear manufacturer that we could find, right? Every boutique shop, everything that I could find on the internet. Is like, hey guys, I got 4,000 pair of flip-flops that I need to have made. I know you guys have people. Can I pay you to make them? Just put it in your production line. So either people didn't have capacity, they were just dicks to work with, or they were too expensive.
Wow.
Those three. So now it's like we're backed into a corner. So I had a old like 4-car carport when I built my house that we like put shitty plywood walls on and like some crappy doors. And it was like full of my outdoor gear and equipment, my motorcycles and all of my tools. And basically what we said is, okay, we're going to gut this thing. We're going to sell everything else of value. And we were going to build a flip-flop manufacturing facility in my garage.
In your garage.
In my garage.
Now, can I ask a quick question?
Send it.
How much flip-flop building experience does the team have at this point?
0.
Excellent. Continue, please.
Yeah, 0. So between Christmas and New Year's, we gutted the place. A friend of ours was going through, like, his name's Scott Grebke, really good dude. He was a facilities manager for an avionics manufacturing facility, and they were moving from 40,000 square feet to 150,000 square feet. He's like, guys, I got all this fully depreciated equipment that they just want to toss out or scrap. Is there anything that you guys can use? Please come by. So we drove down there with a pickup truck, and we found ovens, we found vacuum presses, we found conference tables that we sawed in half to make production tables. We found bins and rolling carts and everything that people were willing to throw away that were like, we can use that. Down to like plywood sheets and wiring. Like we were going true Afghan on this, man. We were going to find what was available and we were going to make it work. The only thing we bought a sander and a dust collector. Those are the only 2 things we bought. We spent about $1,500 mine.
Just interjecting when Ranger Up first had, like a building, my dad came down to like help us move into this really tiny, shitty little warehouse. And we built folding tables out of, that plywood that is like coated with the white slick surface, it's like,
OSB.
Yeah. So like we had some extra of that shit. So they were like shitty 2x4s that I had floating around and that board. And we made these, like low end tables. It's the only thing that I still had when we moved out of those things stuck around for 13 years. And it just, sometimes that shit that you throw together ends up being like a part of who your company is. So I don't know. Wanted to interject that. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So I learned how to wire, right? So I spent an entire day wiring. We put presses in, we put a sub panel in my garage. It's all those things. We Googled a lot and we just sat there and bought a whole bunch of tools and like, we got dirty and we did it. And if I needed some help, I'd call some friends. Hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? And they just talked me through it. I'm like, all right, I can screw this up, but I'm usually pretty handy. So I figured it out. And then February, like late January 2013, the flip-flops container landed and I had a motorhome at the time, old beat up motorhome. And so we were pulling all of our material boxes. We filled the motorhome with flip-flop materials. Andy had a spare garage and we were trying to load things in order of production. So we're constantly scooting things around town, trying to get all our stuff done. And then we started making like 20 or 30 pair a day.
How were they? Tell us about the flops. How were they?
I think they were good, man. Like, we learned a lot about footwear manufacturing. We learned a lot about fit and finish. Like one of the things that I really enjoyed was that we put a piece of bazooka bubble gum in every box of footwear that we sent out to our customers. It's just little things like that. But meanwhile, like as we were doing all of this, we're still communicating with all of our customers. Out of the 4,000 people that we told their stuff was going to be late, only 3 asked for returns and then 2 actually purchased when we had inventory available.
Wow.
It just goes to show you like what kind of people want to support you when you're trying to do the right thing.
Oh, hell yeah.
We wouldn't be here if it weren't for our customers. And we were just honest and communicative with them about what was going on and all of our problems. And they shared in that burden with us. It was awesome. I couldn't be more thankful for our customers.
Do you have any of those original flip-flops?
Yes.
Can I have one?
No.
God damn it, man. This is cold.
Yeah, and then like it turned out, and so this story kept like going. As you can obviously tell, like you're interested in this story. It's kind of fun. Like who does this shit? And the media kept picking it up and kept coming by, and so more key people wanted to buy more and buy more and buy more. And eventually, we found a footwear production in Colombia.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, Colombia fits our mission statement. The first thing we did was we wrote down our mission statement. It says we help self-determined entrepreneurs affected by conflict.
Yeah.
It doesn't say Afghanistan.
So
entrepreneurs affected.
You upgraded from opium to cocaine.
Cocaine, yes. They're more productive in in Colombia, way more productive. But then like amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics. When we went down to Colombia and figured out like all of our raw materials are made within about 25 miles of our finished facility. So we could get products like really quickly and easily. We could buy in small runs. And there was a free trade agreement with Colombia and Afghanistan that had gone into effect like 2 years before. So now we were saving 17 to 35% on our footwear to get them across. So now we have a competitive advantage where we can go to market against Reef, go to market against Reef Olukai, go to market against, I mean, actually go to market against Crocs because Crocs sucks. But regardless, like we could now develop something that was as equal quality and the same price point for a consumer online.
Very cool.
And we've been working with that customer, that manufacturer, I should say, since 2013, and they kick ass for us. Went back to Afghanistan, started making shamas or scarves, which I'm sure you guys have made plenty of fun of at Ranger Up. You guys call them scarves and throw them, whatever. Yeah. But we make those and we make the best ones on the market, but they're all fiber forward made in Afghanistan. We started making a line of jewelry out of Laos, out of landmines left over from the Vietnam War. You know, we're always hunting for dicey spots to come up with cool products that we can bring them.
I think now is probably a good time to talk about your origin story, which we encapsulated in video years ago.
Oh yeah, the Battle of Combat Flip-Flops. I'm surprised that didn't get more traction than it did. I thought it was good. I think we should re-release that. I think we should go.
We absolutely should re-release it. That was a solid video. I mean, it did well. It did pretty well.
You can always re-release something. You know? Hey, because if it's like the new thing where you look back. Maybe next time on Throwback Thursday, just
I mean,
this is our first commercial.
Maybe we throw it in as an ad.
Yeah, is this how it really happened? Question mark.
You know, I mean,
yeah, they all say in entrepreneurship that if you aren't embarrassed by like your first whatever, then you took too long to get started.
I still love that video.
So it's throw it out.
So
there.
Ridiculous.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's great.
It's so ridiculous. Anyway,
and I love how the community comes together behind it. It's like we got some guys that we don't know. Within 8 hours, we've made a commercial of killing each other with flip flops. Like. How fun was that? In the rain, you're holding an umbrella over my head. It was great.
So to set the tone for this, Griff was like, man, you know, like I want to make some videos. And I was like, yeah, let's come over. We'll make some videos. And like we got like another vet's house. He like lent us his house because he's got like 40 acres or something. And then 4 other dudes were like, hey, I'll come, you know, be actors in this. And so we had people traveling like 4 or 5 hours in some cases to be in this video that we dreamed up that was like some of the dumbest shit you're ever going to see. But it still amuses me greatly. And like this wasn't like even like a big business thing. This was just like Griff was like, let's make something. I was like, yeah, let's make something. And then we made this video. This was before Diesel Jack existed. We were using basic as fuck cameras.
We used the Combat Flip-Flops commercial, the original one, in our original pitch materials.
We did.
Because
we used it in our original
Diesel Jack got started,
like,
people
we can do stuff like this, but you know.
One of the toughest parts of a service industry is showing proof of work. Like, do you have proof of work? We're like, look at this.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this video.
It was part of our pitch as well.
I'm glad I could help you as well. Where's my equity document? Like, I'm waiting for my distributions.
So all right, Shark Tank. You are a Shark Tank survivor. Not a lot of people survive that kind of bite. Talk about the Shark Tank experience.
First of all, we didn't apply. They called us, which was cool. I got a random call. Like he read an article. One of the producers read an article about us, invited us on. I don't watch much TV, if at all.
Same.
And the only thing I'd seen on about Shark Tank was these guys who have made it, making fun of other people who haven't made it yet. So I kind of had a chip on my shoulder about it. I kind of told the producer in a very kind way to fuck off. And I got on my next morning meeting call, and Lee, my business partner, he's like, "Are you high? Do you know about the Shark Tank effect? You calling back right now." So I went like that evening, and they sent like this big packet of information, and there's like 2 questions on each page with a bunch of lines for you to fill out. I might have got to the end of line 2 on one of the responses, and I fired it off at midnight. And the next like 7 a.m. the next morning, the producer calls me. He's like, "This is the best Shark Tank application we've ever received. Like, can you guys cut a video? Nah, scratch that. I'll make one. Don't worry about it. I got you. And then this was 2015. So we were clipping along. We were aiming toward like $300,000 in revenue that year. Like we were doing okay for a small business with as many failures as we had, but like 3 or 4 products. It was still the golden age of social media, so we could still post in timeline. I didn't have to deal with a crazy algorithm, but so we could actually touch our customers and like things would actually sell when we posted. We made the decision to drop everything that we were doing marketing wise, and we started training. We watched every single episode. We documented like flow charts, what sharks respond to what, like who was successful, how they weren't successful. I mean, we literally, we marked off the number of steps between the first door and the second door and the mark. We did our timing and our counts. Anybody who'd been on Shark Tank that was a veteran, so Eli Crane from Bottle Breacher, I called him, and within 12 hours, I was with, like, I called his company, and within 12 hours, he was giving me the download on the phone, which I will.
That's awesome.
If you're a veteran and you're getting on Shark Tank, call me. I will respond to you. I will give you the same download. I will always return the favor and pay it forward. And like we started training, and we trained and we trained and we trained, and we flew down there like a Ranger raid, 3 shark deal, immediately bounced, and it was good. People think that Shark Tank isn't real. No, it's totally real. You're brokering with these folks in real time. We were in there for about an hour 45, and they edited it down to, I think, 8 or 9 minutes.
Wow.
And it was really good. Like, we've been credited with the best moment in Shark Tank history because we shut Kevin up. You're going to notice, like, if you watch our episode, he's pretty vocal to a certain point until you're going to know which point it is. And then afterwards, he's doing his finger thing. But what they don't show is, like, after we had kind of like smacked him down a little bit, he kept coming at us. And then it was free game for us. When he went out, we're like, nah. And we just kept firing back at him. And one moment, Damon leans over to him and goes, "There's nothing you can say to these guys." So we went in there with a $1.5 million valuation. My floor was $700,000. So like I was willing to take a deal. Anything over $700,000, I was going to take and run. And their first offering they came back with was $800,000. So I'm like, always ask for 20% more. Always. And so like we tried to get Lori in it, and we wanted $1 million, right? Because $1 million valuations is cool, like 2 commas.
Yeah.
It's rad.
Yeah.
And then once we invited her on, they went 3 for $100,000 at 10%. So 30% equity for $300,000 on my small failing flip-flop company that really hadn't proven itself at all. And it was pretty entertaining and fun. And so we took the deal, shook hands, and bounced. When we aired, we did more business in 36 hours than we did in our entire company history. It was the hardest we ever had to work ever. We took our production facility in my garage, we demolished it, and very similar to you and your dad, my buddy Jason Legg, my best friend, came in, and we figured out the size of the boxes we were shipping everything in. Mm-hmm. So we cubed out our warehouse to fit the boxes so we could fit the maximum amount. And that year, I think we shipped like $2 million in product out of my garage. Right. Wow. It was fucking rad. It was amazing. It was like we back ordered. We aired in February 12th. We back ordered to the end of May, and like literally the day that we were getting an inventory, they ran a rerun, and we back ordered till the end of August. So amazing. It was crazy. We were at capacity for 6 months, 6-7 months. It was awesome.
That's awesome, man. That's wild. Really wild. So you know, you've had a lot of highs and lows, right? Tell me about the worst day in Combat Flip-Flops' lifetime. The day that was soul crushing.
I'd have to say, like, I mean, there's plenty of moments that, like, you know, you can financially or whatever, but our first angel investor passed away from cancer.
That sucks.
Yeah, right. And here's a guy, like, super successful dude who believed in us when nobody else did, took cash and gave it to us. You know, we always floated in free gear. He was our wheel man. He'd always come up with like hot rides for our commercials, and he never got to enjoy the successes that we're having now. When you talk about like doing it, you're doing it with your bros.
Yep.
All right, Terry, just fucking thinking about it. But like, just the fact that he's not here to enjoy this, it's really hurtful. Like, it's sad. It's soul crushing.
Yeah.
If what advice would you give to somebody, anybody, vet, civilian, whoever, that is thinking about starting a business, right? If you can only give them one piece of advice, what is that advice?
Cash is king.
Now, people always say that, but I'd love for you to like quantify like how
talk
important
about
that is, because I mean, I don't disagree, but like I'd love for you to quantify it via something an event or something like that, because when people say that, I don't think people think
they don't
when they hear it,
understand.
they don't understand like how important it is to have some level of cash flow. But I'd love to hear your story on that.
So we'll go back to Shark Tank, and I'll preface it a little bit. And this is like, everybody builds a profit and loss statement in their development for a business.
Yeah, they're not going to be right.
You're not going to be a millionaire in 6 months. Good luck, man. If you are, like, call me. Like, I will give you money. Let's do this, right?
Yeah.
But like, you show a positive bottom line, but what people don't look is how the cash moves in and out of your company to make that profit and loss statement work. Whether you're working on a cash basis or an accrual basis, how that all works, you don't know. So let's go with the example of Shark Tank. We sold hundreds of thousands of dollars of product, right? 2 weeks before we found out, they don't tell you when you're going to air. We thought we were going to air in November of 2015 for Veterans Day. And we stretched all of our cash, bought as much inventory, put it on the deck, did everything we could to get as much inventory on. It came and went, and we had no sales. And so now we had to pay vendors, cover everything else. So we had to blow out all of that inventory to cover our bills.
Yep.
Almost zero cash. And all of the inventory would have sat on my desk right now that we had.
Yeah.
And then we found out in 2 weeks we were going to have the largest retail event a small business could ever have. I immediately called one of my Ranger buddies who was successful, and I talked to him, and I was like, look, man, I need 50 grand right now. Like, this is what's coming on. I'll forward you the emails, but I need $50,000 immediately. He's like, I'll think about it. I was like, no, you're not going to think about it. You have the money. We're good buddies. We've done a lot for each other. You're going to tell your assistant and your bookkeeper to, like, your CFO to wire me $50,000 before you get off this phone. Otherwise, I'm going to be over at your office in about 20 minutes at gunpoint. Like, we're going to do this. And he did, right? Which was great, because we were able to jumpstart production, order all materials, and get a little bit of a head start on it. But then we sold hundreds of thousands of dollars in product in a short period of time. Well, you have to, and it's all through credit cards. So then you go through a merchant processor.
Yep.
And they want their fee, and they have their insurances and everything else.
And yeah, this is too big of a spike. Yeah, we're going to hold the money.
We're going to hold your money.
Yeah.
And we're like, I don't think you understand. Like, we need this cash to buy the materials. Well, you need to give proof of delivery in order before we give you the cash. Like, I don't think you're hearing me. We need the cash to make the product get delivery. Everybody knows they're going to get the stuff in 6 weeks, but I need the money to actually buy the materials to get the delivery. And like, it's this round and round circle.
It's so funny how many stories are the same.
But there's all these businesses that take advantage of this, these lines of credit off of POs. This is like, you've basically identified, there's an actual industry out there where it's people that will loan people money to businesses like Combat Flip Flops if they see a PO of a significant retailer, and they'll take whatever rate they take. But they're basically intermediating this fact that cash flow is so hard. They're just like, fuck you. And then they're like, hey, by the way, I love that you did all this work. I'm going to guarantee myself 9 to, let's say 12%.
I'm going to take all your profit.
9 to 12%, because I have cash.
You did all this work and made nothing.
That's why the banks always win, guys. That's why bankers always sitting fat, and they never look like they're working hard.
One of the saddest moments of my life, man. Like, Ranger Up was, I don't even remember what year. Ranger Up was growing like crazy. I had an employee make a huge mistake in ordering, and we had like,
I remember this. I remember talking to you when you were going through this.
I know you do. I mean, long story short is $300,000 in extra inventory at a time when we did not have that money was ordered. And we fought like hell to get to a good place. And we were finally coming out of it, right about the time of the following Christmas, and like Black Friday hits. and we had the craziest Black Friday ever. I mean, just everything blew up. And in like one day we did, I want to say it was like a couple $100,000, and PayPal was like, this is too much growth in a short period of time. So we're going to hold on to 80 grand for 3 months. 3 fucking months. And so I literally had the money to pay everything that was left and finally be in a good spot. And instead, I got to stare at it every day, just hoping PayPal would release it. And this shit happens to everybody I know that goes through growth or goes through these kinds of things. And so you end up like, I think we had to go through, I don't remember. It was like cabbage or I don't know, something.
You
But
basically had to
we
borrow,
had to
you had to borrow money with interest to cover the money that you were already earned,
literally already earned,
but it's not
and could
released.
stare at, sadly, and no amount of phone calls or anything like mattered. It was like one of the worst experiences of my life. But thank you for bringing that up, man.
Yeah, I'm glad that you joined me in a very empathetic moment. But again, this goes back to cash is king, right? If you don't know how your dollars are flowing in and out, and the best thing you could do as a business owner is be true to your word on payments in cash. Like, I don't know how many paychecks I've skipped so that way I could pay people because of the promises that I made to them.
Oh yeah.
I can't even count.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's like your family goes hungry. You don't go on vacation. You don't do those things, but over the long run, you keeping true to your word and working hard to keep your vendors and your suppliers and your partners like funded is what's going to lead to your success. And it involves a significant amount of sacrifice, but it involves less sacrifice if you know your cash flow from the gate.
Yeah. My 401k has had its highs and lows because
it's supposed to never be
entrepreneurship.
withdrawn from, Nick.
Yeah. That's what I meant to say.
You're supposed to not take any money out till you retire.
Yeah. My plan is to just never retire.
You pay extra interest penalties to take it out early.
Yeah, I know.
You know that now.
Yeah.
You know that. Oh, that's
unfortunate.
I've been there. I get it. Right there with you.
I'm gonna pay the banks to pay myself.
Yep.
Money I already saved.
Yeah.
Because
And the U.S. government, because the U.S. government is going to take a penalty on it.
Oh,
Because
that's
the
another
money
one.
I've earned is not released to me. But you're gonna get taxed on the money that you earned that you took out too early, and the money that you've earned but hasn't been released to you. You got to pay all of that as income. The $80,000 held in escrow.
Yep.
That whatever you borrowed to yourself, you loaned yourself. Actually, it's a painful loan because it comes with a high interest rate to the bank and a tax fee to the government, and then that's income, and then the government wants to take 40% approximately of that.
And even though you don't have any cash in the bank because it's all on the shelves because you bought inventory, the government says you made this much profit.
That's right.
So you have to take a loan to pay the government for money you don't have so that you can continue employing people.
This is why everyone's trying to sell software, because they don't want to fucking pay for inventory on goods. Everyone's in the software business now. Every VC is like, do you sell inventory? It's like, hey, I have cost of goods sold. Like,
I honest to God think that the two biggest challenges in business are inventory and the IRS. Those have been the hardest things to deal with for me. And and everybody's always like, oh yeah, all these loops for business. When they say that, when they're talking about loopholes for business, they are not talking about people like us and Griff.
The other thing that the big lie that you're told all the time, and Griff, you kind of hinted at this, is it's basically, I don't care what anyone says, impossible to forecast. That's why you always have an inventory problem.
You always have an inventory problem.
You can't predict how your sales are going to be. Look, we just joked about it. Sam Adams missed their number by more than 30% on sales of Truly hard seltzer. There's some smart motherfuckers that work at Sam Adams.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they figure this out?
Possibly smarter than the three of us.
Yeah, they couldn't figure it out.
Possibly.
They overguessed by a lot. Like, they're like, oh, well, fucked up. Like, what do we do with all this seltzer? Sorry.
So, all right. So you've overcome all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yep.
From duffel bags in Afghanistan to cocaine in Colombia. At least that's the way I remember your story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Hold
would have
on.
been better off selling cocaine, by
Hold
the
on,
way.
I got to take my. I've got an elite,
So,
rare combat.
we're
something-
Oh, geez, look at that.
I think I've got some gum or something on mine.
Okay.
Oh,
so
wait,
oh my
Hollywood-
God!
Hollywood
Look
from-
at this foot. So
Yeah, look at the
this
size
is,
of that
this is gonna
foot.
be- oh my God! What kind of foot is this?
Look at these combat flip.
So I wear a size 13 for reference, and then but Nick told me I wore.
No,
the wrong
those are
size.
my 12s that you stole from me.
All right, well, we're gonna do Griff. We gotta do combat flip flops solid. We're gonna give a review of combat flip flops on this podcast.
Okay.
Because you've come a long way since having mismade Afghani flip flops. So now high quality, high material. You back it by your service. That's one of your value propositions. I think your story today kind of demonstrated what kind of person you are.
Phenomenal stuff.
So like, if you're willing to do that to fulfill an order that I made a year ago, where you know what I mean? Like, because in your story, your timeline is over a year between order and fulfillment.
Over
I think-
13 months, 13 to 15 months. Yeah.
Then you might as well better back the quality of the sandals. So I am a self-proclaimed flip-flop connoisseur. I've basically worn only flip-flops except for athletic endeavors
I've never seen Albert in actual shoes.
only to run.
I've never seen you run.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I usually even work out like barefoot.
So
but
give the assessment.
yeah, here we
We're
go.
waiting
So I
for the
have a
assessment.
pair of skids now. So that's my background. I've been wearing flip flops since I was 13 years old. I'm now 41. So I've worn reefs. I no longer wear reefs, and I switched to rainbows. And maybe I'll permanently switch to combat flip flops. It is amazingly durable. So I've been in Costa Rica for over a week, walking on reefs, exploring the reefs with my kids at low tide. I've been on boats, there are snorkel boats that were also used for scuba. So wet decks. I used the pair of the skids. These things, I did not slip at all. And the wear and tear on the sole right now is almost none. So all my reefs went flat very quickly. That's why I switched to rainbows. And now, I mean, I don't know what your other shoes are like, but I do have the pair of the skids. I mean, for anyone listening, it creates a basketball player sound when you walk on like tile or linoleum.
Yeah.
Like, it's got that much grip. Extremely useful, I would say, for anyone who's in like water environments, which typically most flip-flop wearers are. I will say when I first got them, I felt that they were a little uncomfortable. But then that was because Nick informed me.
You do have to break them in because they're so durable. Like
Well-
the materials are so like.
Well, that's not it actually, because we found out it was because it was the wrong
Oh, it's because you
size.
stole mine and they were.
Yeah,
size
yeah.
too
I
small.
was
Oh,
wearing
yeah.
a pair that was a size too small. He said he bought me a pair, and I was like, oh, they're mine. And I wore them for a while. I was like, they're kind of tight. And then he's like, well,
They're
a
not
size.
actually your size. But I'm glad you've
So-
broken them in now. and
So if you
have
buy
two
your size,
pairs.
it's not a problem. But I would say, it's a very high quality product. I
Yeah,
can tell
they're
that.
great,
And
man.
there's-
I feel like there's no chance they're going. I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's
No,
just
that's
you know,
fine.
but I wanted to.
Yeah, you should.
So I feel like there's no chance you can blow them out. I've blown out a lot of flip flops.
We're going to test that. We're going to test that on behalf of them. We're going to make some UGC. So part of what Dieseljack does, Griff, is we make UGC content. Whether or not you use it, that's up to you.
Yeah, sometimes we just
But,
like to,
Yeah, I know you have a lifetime guarantee. We are going to test how strong they are and try to rip them apart with weird things.
Like for
Just letting you
example, can I wear it down with a belt sander? We're gonna find out. And then if I can, I'll ask for a replacement pair.
We're gonna go back to the crocodile.
We're going to have two Olympic team caliber wrestlers possibly play tug of war.
Yeah.
And just see how the toe
see if
holds,
they can
the
see if they
thong
can
does.
pull them out.
Yeah. But we'll also do it against your competitors too and see how they do.
Yeah.
I can tell you that this is a podcast. You can say whatever. Old Navy. I used to buy Old Navy El Cheapos when I went on trips to like El Salvador, Costa Rica, because because like petty theft is part of life there, right? Those are the worst sandals on earth. That's why I bought them. Old Navy. When you pay like the $2 or whatever they cost, like they are pieces of shit. A lot of times they wouldn't get stolen because I think like poor Salvadorian kids would look at it
like, man, that guy's got worse. That guy's worse off than I am. He's wearing Old Navy.
I think they're like, I'd rather just be barefoot. Like, you know what I mean? It offers zero protection on the reefs and stuff like that. Like they're useless, but it is a high quality sandal. No doubt
Griff, closing out. What's next for combat flip flops? Where do we get them? What's the secret of life? Just those three quick questions.
All right, so what's next is we got some new shoes coming out here, our Mark 19s, and we got the BD 21s, which are going to come out. I think everybody's going to love. So we're going into the fall season. We got some cashmere coming out as well.
Cashmere.
Can I have one of those?
Yes, you can have one of those. You can probably have 2 of those, Nick. Yes.
Yes.
You're going to love the BD 21s. You guys are going to have so much fun with the marketing of those. I can't even tell you how much fun you're going to have with the marketing of the BD 21s.
I wear a 15.
Hollywood wants you to know that he wears a size 15.
Okay, I got you.
Don't make that size. That size cannot be profitable. There's no way. There's not enough people that wear them.
Everything's at Combat Flip Flops on social. So website's combatflipflops.com. All first-time users get a 25% off discount.
Hell yeah.
Sign up, move the freaking needle, get signed on. Our product doesn't suck. We have the best customer service in the business. If it doesn't fit, free returns, exchanges, everything else. Like, we take care of you. Like, we run a really rad company. We try to help people. And like, once you come on board with us, we're going to do our best to keep you on our team.
Listen to what this man did to get his first order done.
Yeah.
You don't think he's going to back his product? This guy's going to fucking back his product.
I'm trying to figure out why that isn't your tagline. Combat flip-flops. We will literally go to Afghanistan and yell at motherfuckers to get your product.
I think we're going to have to shoot that when we're out at your place in a couple weeks here. Yeah.
Perfect.
The secret of life.
Secret of life.
Just be kind. That's
That's
it. Everybody's facing a battle you don't know. I'll give all the cliche ones, but if you're just more kind to people instead of immediately like being.
So I got to ask that about
just live, laugh, love. Just live, laugh, love.
I want to ask though. So Ernie Johnson at the time of this recording, Ernie Johnson went viral earlier this week, talking to the University of Alabama, talking to Nick Saban's team about being a better person. He has famously adopted a Romanian child with tons of birth defects, where the actual orphanage encouraged him to basically not adopt the child. Ernie Johnson and his wife adopted the child. He is taking care of this person. He's now an adult, lived well beyond his life expectancy, but still needs full-time care. And Ernie Johnson, of course, is in a different place than the rest of us. Yeah, he's inside the NBA. He's got different financial means. Okay, discount that. He didn't have to do that. And he's famously known for being a good person. I got a question. Did you know he was going to wear your shirt? Did you know he was a fan of yours? He had your shirt on. He was seen on the thing. And his talk was about being a better human. He opens up his shirt on the video. It is your shirt and your logo, which, by the way, it's going to get ripped off now. Nick knows this.
Oh no, we fight that weekly.
Yeah,
we get it.
You didn't trademark it. You fucked.
It's a great, even if you did trademark it, even if you did.
Yeah, people
but
violate.
It's a phenomenal shirt. It just says "Be a better human." Yeah.
Did he know your story? Did Ernie Johnson know your story in any way? Because the way he talked sounds a lot like you.
He bought our shirt about a year ago, during when COVID was at its peak, and he wore it on a Zoom interview once, and so we knew that he had it, but we had no idea that he was going to do this, and so we're just super thankful. That's what we want. We want good people out there encouraging with a voice and saying, "Man, just be a better human. You don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Just be better today than you were yesterday. That's all you got to do."
Awesome.
We're gonna link the video to Ernie talking in this podcast as well. So if anyone hasn't seen it, they can see that. In addition, of course, to the Combat Flip Flops original commercial.
Absolutely. And so, any parting thoughts before Albert and I close this thing out?
I am super thankful for you guys, and you owe me a crocodile.
All right, if I kill a crocodile for you,
does an American alligator count?
It has to be live. It has to be a live crocodile.
Does it have to be
I
a
have
crocodile?
to deliver a live crocodile.
Wait, time out.
A live crocodile.
Does it have to be a crocodile? Because crocodile is not even native to America.
No, there's a shitload of crocodiles in Florida, though.
No, they're alligators.
No. The crocodile, the African crocodile has infested southern
from what?
Florida.
What, people letting them loose? And
we could go hunt one.
Okay, but he says it's got to be live.
So no, I was gonna say. So I had a different question. My question was, if I go,
I'll give you a reprieve. 5 feet or under. 5 feet or under. You don't have to get a big one, just a medium sized one.
No. We're going in different places. My question is, if I kill one, will you garage make me crocodile combat flip flops?
I'll have to agree to that one.
Okay.
Yeah!
Okay.
It looks like we're going crocodile hunting.
Hey, don't be cheating, going to like one of those gas stations on the way to Florida, like for live crocodiles, and you're just like, oh, let me get one of these. No, you got to get one out of the wild.
Yeah, we need to find a place that will
one that hates
that
humans,
will take
that
us crocodile.
Yeah,
hunting.
not like the Betty White pet.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Do you think are we doing it with a gun, or is it going to be
No,
like
by hand.
No,
like
you
archery?
gotta.
Oh, you want me to dive in and get it?
Yeah, Irwin style, dude. You gotta get it Steve Irwin style.
What about like Crocodile Dundee knife style on the top of the head?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool, right? You know, that's another wish.com, like how I thought it was going to go, and then it's just me getting.
Well, if
dragged
you attack
underwater.
it while it's on land,
you know?
well, if you attack it while it's on land, your odds of dying go down significantly because they don't actually bite you to
73%.
death.
Yeah,
73% they go down.
Yeah, yeah. So you got
What they do is
set.
they grab you,
like your mom.
like your mom. And then they take you down alive and
Yeah.
stuff you under a log.
Yeah.
Yeah, they roll you until
Yeah.
until you
Yeah.
breathe in the
Yeah,
water.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if
All
you're
right.
on land, your odds are pretty good.
Okay, we're definitely losing track of closing this out because we're currently talking about
Matt,
crocodile attacks.
Thanks for joining us today on Zero to Somewhere.
All right,
That's as quick as we ended.
that's it. That's how you're doing it. That's how you're
You
closing
have
it?
to wrap it up now.
Yeah, we got to wrap up. I feel like that wasn't a big enough. Griff, thank you so much for everything you've done for the Zero to Somewhere podcast, for America, for the fine people of Afghanistan and Colombia. God bless you, sir. God bless you indeed.
It is indeed a good flip flop. Give it a try.
Combat flip-flops. Terrible for combat. Great for flipping it around.
That's not their tagline.
I know it isn't. It's a podcast. All right, man. Thanks so much for being on. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a great afternoon. Have a great weekend. Thanks for everything you do.
So
I would have quit. I'm telling you right now, like after I got the bad news, like that's what makes me. We talked about this in previous things.
Yep.
I'm not, and this is the self-realization, right? Most people are not good to be CEOs because they are not willing to go, let's say that extra mile or whatever to keep their company alive.
Yep.
I learned that about myself when like I was faced with massive financial adversity. I would just choose rather to like, okay, I'll fold this one and do something else. Barbara Corcoran talks about it in speaking of Shark Tank. She talks about how she will not invest in rich people because rich people, it's easy for them to walk away
It's easy for them
because they
to
have a
leave.
lot of money. It's like,
Yep.
well, this is an experiment. I didn't make it. Fuck it. Like I'm out of here.
Yeah.
My mentality leans more towards that side. That's why I've always found myself more successful when I work with someone that's more like, hey, I have to succeed here because then I can help. But then also, am I really fully on the hook? I'm not really ever fully on the hook. You know, my attitude stays there. But that's self-realization for myself. I would have quit. The second that fucking shitty order came through, I'd have been like, this is it. I'm done. Fuck this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I've been through some shit, and I do have that mentality of like, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to, like I've been upside down a number of times. But I got to tell you what, man, that was something else. Like being, first of all,
I ain't going to
First
Afghanistan.
of all-
First of all, his decision-making, honestly, his decision-making was not very good. Like, if you are in the manufacturing business and your product, your raw material or whatever is in place one,
yeah.
the idea that you should ship it to another country to get
Unless-
it made is insane.
Unless you're such an elite logistics organization.
Dude, well, that's not any single entrepreneur.
No,
that's
no,
that's
no.
like
But
that's
he-
like Ford.
But that is, people don't know how hard this is. So
Yeah.
like he was a neophyte at that
Yeah.
point. He had never produced anything. Every time you produce something that has any technical spec, the first version is going to suck. I don't care how good the factory is supposed to be.
Especially since the factory's third party. It's not yours.
It's not yours.
You're not. This is not like Toyota telling its own engineers to make them something.
Yeah, and he's a small order.
Yeah.
He's a small order in a giant factory. So, like, honest to God, first of all, would I have gone to Afghanistan? No. I'll tell you that right now. I would not. I believe I would have solved the problem, but the problem would not have been solved by me going with some boys to Afghanistan for duffel bags. So I give him major props for that. It's also a phenomenal
major.
fucking story. But then, two, when I got that total ridiculous, awful order, I don't know if I'm trying to solve that problem in Afghanistan. I don't know, like, I think I'm just leaving. I think
He mentioned that he could source the material in Asia. Well, there's a lot of manufacturing in Asia.
Yeah.
He could have easily just said, fuck this, I'm getting it made in Asia. But he stayed true to his brand ethos.
Yeah.
And said, I'm getting this made in a post-conflict country. And I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
So
No, in a conflict country.
No, an active conflict. That's correct.
Yeah. In an active
That's like going like,
conflict.
oh, I'm going to move this into like Burma. I'm going to Myanmar right now.
Yeah.
Isn't there a coup going on? It's like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine because my driver was from, wherever.
Yeah, but my driver's Burmese.
No,
Nothing could happen.
My driver's cool. I'll be totally safe. I don't think that way. But in all seriousness, like, for me, the takeaway from this, and this story is obviously crazy unique, but the mentality of I'm going to do whatever I need to do in order to make it successful is so critical. And, you hear like ultra rich, ultra successful entrepreneurs, investors always say the same thing. They don't invest in ideas. They invest in people.
Yeah.
Because the right person is going to fight like hell to make it work.
Yeah.
And the wrong person is going to throw their hands up and say life isn't fair. So.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying life's not fair. I just quit.
No, don't let Albert downplay himself. He's not a big quitter or anything. But it's a decision node, and I think that like people make the decision to be entrepreneurs because they like the idea. Oh, I'll be my own boss, and life will be easier, and if I work hard, I'll become wealthy. Like those things typically don't happen. Most entrepreneurs do not become wealthy. They make a living like everyone else, and so you have to want. The idea of solving that problem has to be exciting to you. I love how we've got another Durham murder. Every time that we do a podcast, someone gets murdered and a siren goes by.
Yeah,
but
it could be a car accident. It's fine.
You've got to have the mentality that you're not going to quit and that every problem is solvable if you want to get into this. Otherwise, don't do it.
And with that, next week we're going to bring you
I don't think we should ever let people know who's coming next.
Okay, fine. Fuck
Yeah,
that
we're
noise.
not fucking telling you.
Next
we're not
week
telling,
is going to be
we're not
next
telling
week.
you shit.
Till next time.
Look.